Marcus Washington dropped his mop bucket. He wore the gray maintenance uniform of Sterling Industries. His name tag read simply, Marcus, Building Services. The bucket hit the floor. Dirty water spread across expensive tile. Nobody noticed. Marcus moved. He vaulted over a banquette. His body flowed with athletic grace that belonged in a different uniform. His hands knew exactly what to do. 8 years as a Marine Corps combat medic did not fade just because you clean toilets now. Ma'am, I need you to step back. His voice carried command. Victoria Sterling, chief executive officer of an $8.2 billion company, stepped back. Something in his tone made her obey without thinking. Marcus positioned himself behind Sophie. His fist found the spot 2 inches above her navel. The abdominal thrust technique. 5th intercostal space. 6 to 10 compressions using the J thrust method. His mind calculated while his hands worked. Obstruction visible on initial assessment. Patient conscious but fading. 47 seconds until complete blockage. Time until brain damage begins at 3 minutes post-total obstruction. He executed the Heimlich maneuver with textbook precision. Thrust, release, thrust, release, thrust. On the 4th compression, the piece of meat projectiled across the restaurant. It struck a painting worth $80,000. Sophie gasped. Air flooded her lungs. She coughed, cried, breathed. Victoria collapsed to her knees. She pulled her daughter against her chest. Her Cartier watch, $47,000, pressed against Sophie's tear-stained cheek. You saved her. Victoria looked up at Marcus. Her ice-blue eyes met his. For 3 seconds, the world contained only the two of them, CEO and janitor, white and black, power and invisibility. You saved my daughter's life. Marcus was already backing away, already fading into the crowd that now pressed forward with useless concern, already becoming invisible again. Just doing what anyone would, ma'am. Wait, what's your name? I need to... But Marcus Washington had already disappeared through the service entrance, back to being nobody, back to being nothing. Victoria Sterling stood. She pulled her phone from her purse. Her hands shook, but her voice did not. Diana, I need you to find someone, a maintenance worker. Marcus Washington, I don't care what it takes, find him. The alarm clock read 4:45 a.m. when Marcus Washington opened his eyes. He reached out before the second beep could sound. Old habits from combat zones where noise meant death. His studio apartment in Brooklyn was small. 1 bedroom for Isaiah, a pull-out couch for Marcus. But it was clean, military clean. Everything had its place. Everything served a purpose. 2 photographs lived on the refrigerator door. The first showed 2 men in Marine Corps uniforms, desert camouflage dusty from Afghanistan wind. Marcus Washington and Daniel Sterling stood with arms around each other's shoulders, both grinning, both young, both believing they would always come home. The second photograph showed Marcus with a woman. Alicia Washington had eyes that smiled before her mouth did. She held a baby. Isaiah, 3 years before a drunk driver ran a red light and took her away forever. Marcus touched neither photograph. He knew every detail by heart. He moved through his morning routine with the precision of someone who had perfected efficiency. Check Isaiah's room first. The pulse oximeter glowed green on the nightstand. Next to it sat 2 inhalers and a medication chart. Isaiah's breathing sounded steady tonight. No wheezing, no struggling. Small mercies. Marcus had learned to be grateful for small mercies. In the kitchen, bills waited in 3 stacks. The first stack, marked paid, stood thin as hope. The second stack, due soon, was thicker. The third stack, past due, towered over both. Red stamps screamed from every envelope. Final notice, account delinquent, sent to collections. $4,847 in medical bills. That was just this month. Marcus made breakfast, oatmeal for Isaiah. He counted out 15 blueberries exactly and arranged them into a smiley face. Black coffee for himself. He reused yesterday's grounds. The taste was terrible, but coffee was $3 a can. He packed 2 lunches in brown papered bags. Isaiah's bag held a turkey and cheese sandwich, an apple, a juice bus, and a note written on the back of a bill envelope. You've got this, soldier. Love, Dad. Marcus's bag held an apple and a granola bar. No sandwich. Not enough lunch meat for two. Isaiah came first. Always. Dad? Isaiah stood in the doorway, 7 years old with his mother's eyes and his father's stubborn chin. He wore pajamas 2 sizes too big. Marcus bought them large so they would last longer. You're doing the worry face again. Marcus's expression shifted instantly into a smile. It almost reached his eyes. Just thinking about my day, Z-man. Isaiah walked to the table. His bare feet slapped against linoleum that Marcus had scrubbed clean last night after his shift ended. The boy climbed into his chair and stared at his father's lunch bag. Your bag looks sad. What do you mean, buddy? It looks empty. Did you forget to make your sandwich? The lie came easy. Practice made lies easy. Nah, Mrs. Lewis next door made too much meatloaf yesterday. She's sending me with leftovers for lunch. Isaiah accepted this. Children wanted to believe their parents had everything under control. It made the world feel safer. Dad? Yeah? Is Mom watching us from heaven? The question landed like shrapnel. Marcus knelt beside his son's chair. He took both small hands in his own. His hands were scarred from motor oil and chemical burns and electrical shocks. Working hands. Hands that had saved lives and fixed broken things and held his dying wife while they waited for ambulances that arrived too late. Every single day, Z, you know what she sees when she looks down? What? The bravest kid in Brooklyn, her champion. Marcus touched his son's chest, right over the heart. She's right here, always. Isaiah smiled. Marcus stood. He looked at Alicia's photograph and allowed himself 5 seconds of grief. Then he put the grief away in the same place he kept everything else that hurt, deep down where it could not interfere with survival. At 6:15, they walked to the bus stop. Other children had both parents. Some had cars that drove them to school. Isaiah had his father's hand in worn-out sneakers that Marcus had glued back together twice. Love you, Dad? Isaiah climbed onto the school bus. Marcus watched until the yellow vehicle disappeared around the corner. Then he allowed his shoulders to slump. Just for a moment. Just until he had to be strong again. The voiceover returned, deep, steady, the voice of a man who had seen too much but kept talking anyway. Narrator, Marcus Washington, age 36, former Marine Corps combat medic, 8 years active duty, 2 tours Iraq, 1 tour Afghanistan, expert in trauma medicine, tactical rescue, and classified operations that would never appear on any official record. Honorable discharge 5 years ago following Operation Sentinel. A brief flash, desert night, gunfire, explosions painting shadows against sand, a voice screaming through radio static, Corpsman! We need a corpsman! Marcus running through smoke with medical supplies. Then back to present. Marcus at the bus stop, staring at his reflection in the station glass, maintenance uniform where combat fatigues used to be, from saving lives under fire to mopping floors. He straightened his collar. Dignity cost nothing. His grandmother taught him that. The subway took 40 minutes. Marcus stood because sitting meant someone elderly or pregnant might need the seat more. He read the advertisements he had memorized months ago. Injury lawyers, debt consolidation, trade schools promising better futures. At Sterling Industries, he entered through the service entrance. Security waved him through without looking up. Invisible. As always, it happened at lunch. Marcus sat on the loading dock behind the Sterling Industries. His brown paper bag contained 1 apple and 1 granola bar. He had learned that eating slowly made small portions feel larger. The executive plaza stretched out before him, marble steps, fountain that cost more than his car, glass doors that led to a world he would never enter. That was where he saw her. Sophie Sterling sat alone on the concrete steps, 8 years old, expensive private school uniform, blonde braids. She was crying with the quiet desperation of a child who had learned that loud crying made adults uncomfortable. She held a stuffed bunny. It was missing 1 eye. Security guards walked past. Business people in $1,000 suits rushed by checking phones. Nobody stopped. Marcus knew he should not get involved. Rich white girl. Her mother probably one of the executives who looked through him like glass. Getting involved meant attention. Attention meant risk. Risk meant losing this job he needed desperately. But she reminded him of Isaiah. After Alicia died, Isaiah used to cry, just like that. Silent. Alone. Too young to understand why the world hurt so much. Marcus stood. He walked across the plaza. Every instinct screamed to turn back. He ignored them all. He knelt beside Sophie. Not too close. Non-threatening. The way he had learned to approach frightened children in war zones. Rough day? Sophie looked up. Her eyes were red from crying. They widened slightly, seeing a black man in a janitor uniform. But not with fear, just surprise that anyone had noticed her. I miss my daddy. 3 words. They gutted him. Yeah. Marcus sat down on the step beside her. Careful distance. Visible hands. I get that, missing someone. It's the hardest thing. Silence stretched between them. Not uncomfortable. Just 2 people who understood loss sitting together. Marcus opened his lunch bag. 1 apple, 1 granola bar. He looked at both. Then he held out the apple. You know what helped me when I was sad? Eating something. Even when I didn't feel like it. I'm not hungry. That's okay. But this apple's pretty lonely in my bag. Think you could help me out? Keep it company for a while? Sophie took the apple. Her small fingers wrapped around it. She did not eat, but she held it like it mattered. I'm Marcus. Sophie. That's a good name. Strong. Sophie looked at her stuffed bunny. This is Captain Flopsy. He lost his eye being brave. Marcus nodded with the seriousness this deserved. A warrior bunny. I respect that. They sat together. Neither spoke. Sometimes silence was better than words. Do you have kids? I do. A son, Isaiah. He's 7. Does he have a mom? Marcus's smile faded. He caught it before it disappeared completely. He did. She's watching over us now, from somewhere special. Sophie understood. Children who lost parents recognized each other. Like my daddy. Yeah, like your daddy. 20 feet away, Victoria Sterling stood at her office window. She watched the maintenance worker sitting with her daughter, watched them share an apple, watched her daughter smile for the first time in days. Her phone buzzed. Diana, her assistant, frantic. Miss Sterling, Sophie's nanny just called. She can't find Sophie anywhere. I found her. Victoria's voice was ice over steel, but her eyes stayed on the man beside her daughter. Something about him did not fit. Maintenance workers did not move like that, did not carry themselves with that precise stillness. Who is he? Diana appeared beside her. Who is who, ma'am? The maintenance worker, with Sophie. Diana squinted at the plaza below. I don't know, ma'am. Would you like me to call security? No, Victoria watched as the man stood. As Sophie looked up at him with trust, no stranger should have earned in 5 minutes. As he said something that made her daughter smile. Pull his personnel file. Maintenance department, I want everything. Employment history, background check, references. On my desk in 1 hour. Yes, ma'am. Victoria continued watching. The man walked away. Sophie stayed on the steps. But she was not crying anymore. She held the apple like a gift. And Diana? Yes. Find out what he gave up to give her that apple. Victoria Sterling's corner office occupied the entire 47th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered views of Manhattan that made visitors forget how to breathe. Her desk, custom Italian marble, cost $60,000. The art on her walls could fund a small hospital. None of it meant anything. She stood at the window. Her reflection stared back. Blonde hair pulled into a bun, severe enough to intimidate. Armani suit, $12,000. Cartier watch, $47,000. Ice blue eyes that made board members stammer. Victoria Sterling, at 33, was the youngest CEO in Sterling Industries history, also the first woman, also the most ruthless. She had fired 6 executives in her first month, cut 3 departments, increased profits by 42%. The business magazines called her brilliant. The tabloids called her cold. Both were right. Her phone buzzed. Victor Ashford, Chief Financial Officer. She let it ring 4 times before answering. Power was making people wait. Victoria! His voice oozed charm. She trusted it about as much as she trusted smiling snakes. We need to discuss the Phoenix Protocol. Victoria's fingers tightened on the phone. Nobody should know that name. Phoenix was classified. buried under so many security clearances that even mentioning it meant someone had breached containment. My office, 5 minutes. She hung up without waiting for confirmation. Victoria opened her bottom desk drawer. Inside lay a photograph in a silver frame. Daniel Sterling, her husband, Marine Corps captain, brilliant engineer, dead 6 years this November. The official report said heart attack, 37 years old, no history of heart problems, collapsed during morning run, dead before the ambulance arrived. Victoria had never believed it. She touched the glass over Daniel's face. I'm close, Dan. I can feel it. A knock at the door. Diana entered with a folder. Personnel file you requested, Miss Sterling. Marcus Washington. Victoria took the folder, opened it, read, age 36, hired 18 months ago, maintenance technician level 2, education, Brooklyn Community College, associate degree in mechanical systems, previous employment. The next section was redacted. Black bars covered 3 paragraphs. What's this? Military records, ma'am, sealed under federal classification code. Victoria's pulse quickened. A janitor with classified military records? There's more, ma'am. Diana pulled out a second sheet, printed from public military databases that required knowing exactly what to search for. Marcus Washington, former Marine Corps combat medic, 8th Marine Regiment, 2nd Battalion. Victoria stopped breathing. 2nd Battalion? Yes, ma'am, the same unit your husband commanded. The photograph of Daniel seemed to glow. Victoria stared at it, then at Marcus Washington's file. They served together. Deployed together, Iraq 2015 through 2016, Afghanistan 2017 through 2018. Both were part of Operation Sentinel in 2019. Operation Sentinel, the mission that killed Daniel. The mission with details so classified that Victoria, despite being his widow, despite having security clearance that opened vault doors, could not access the full report. Does it say what happened? No, ma'am. Just that Marcus Washington received honorable discharge 3 months after your husband died. Medical reasons, details classified. Victoria stood. She walked to the window, looked down at the plaza where Marcus Washington had given her daughter his lunch. He knew Daniel. It appears so, ma'am. And he never said anything. 18 months working here. He must know who I am, who Sophie is. Diana said nothing. Smart people knew when silence was wiser than words. Send someone to bring him to my office. When, ma'am? Now. Marcus was fixing the HVAC system on the 32nd floor when Victor Ashford found him. The executive bathroom, pure white marble, gold fixtures, soap that probably cost more per ounce than Marcus made per hour. He was replacing an air filter. Invisible work done by invisible people. The door opened. Victor Ashford walked in, 58 years old, silver hair perfectly styled, $8,000 suit, Rolex that cost more than a car. He was on his phone. He did not acknowledge Marcus. People like Victor Ashford never acknowledge people like Marcus Washington. Yes, I'll handle the Sterling woman. Ashford's voice carried the smooth confidence of a man who had never been told no. She's emotional, irrational since her husband died, easy to manipulate. Marcus kept working, head down, focus on the filter, be invisible. The Phoenix protocol will be ours by end of quarter. $200 million payout. Then we eliminate any complications. Marcus's hands stilled, just for a second, then resumed work. Ashford hung up. He washed his hands, looked in the mirror, finally noticed Marcus's reflection behind him. You. Marcus met his eyes in the mirror, said nothing. Did you just hear my conversation? Just doing my job, sir. Ashford turned, looked Marcus up and down, saw a black man, saw janitor uniform, saw someone who did not matter. Do you know who I am? No, sir. Victor Ashford, Chief Financial Officer, which means I could have you fired with one phone call. Marcus stood. He held the dirty air filter. Grease stained his hands, but his posture stayed military straight. Yes, sir. Ashford stepped closer. Invasion of personal space meant to intimidate. Marcus had faced enemy combatants. He did not flinch. What's your name? Marcus Washington, sir. Well, Marcus Washington. The way he said the name dripped with contempt. Every syllable said, "You are beneath me." Let me give you some advice. People like you need to know your place. Stay in your lane. Don't listen to things that don't concern you. Don't speak to people above your station. Ashford's smile could have frozen oceans. Or that little boy of yours might lose his health insurance. Isaiah, isn't it? 7 years old? Severe asthma? Marcus's jaw tightened, barely visible. But Ashford saw it, smiled wider. I thought that might get your attention. It would be a shame if anything happened to interrupt his medical care. Asthma can be so unpredictable, so dangerous. Is that a threat, sir? It's advice from someone who knows how the world works. Ashford moved to the door, turned back. Now get back to cleaning toilets. That's what you're good for. The door closed. Marcus stood alone. The air filter dripped grease onto white marble. His hands shook, not from fear, from rage so pure it tasted like copper. But he did nothing, said nothing, just counted to 10, then 20, then 50. Then he finished fixing the air filter. Because that was what invisible people did. They kept their heads down. They did their cause. They survived, even when everything inside them screamed to do otherwise. Victoria read Marcus Washington's file for the fourth time. Each pass revealed less information and more questions. 18 months at Sterling Industries. Perfect attendance, never late, never complaining, maintenance requests completed ahead of schedule. His supervisor's notes read like a love letter to reliability. But before Sterling Industries, black bars, redacted, classified, and before that, military service with Daniel. Diana stood by the door, patient, waiting. You said he has a son? Isaiah Washington, age 7, enrolled at PS 118 in Brooklyn. Medical records show severe persistent asthma, multiple hospitalizations last year. Victoria pulled up her computer, typed commands that opened databases only C-suite executives could access. Employee benefits, health insurance claims. Marcus Washington's insurance. The numbers appeared. Victoria's breath caught. He's on the basic plan. Yes, ma'am. Why? We offer premium coverage. It costs employees nothing. I called HR. He specifically declined the upgrade, said the basic plan was sufficient. Victoria scrolled through claims. Emergency room visits for Isaiah. 3 last year, 7 the year before. Inhaler prescriptions. Specialist consultations. Every claim marked patient responsibility after deductible. She pulled up the deductible amount for basic coverage. $6,000. He's paying out of pocket for most of Isaiah's care. It appears so, ma'am. Victoria leaned back in her chair, closed her eyes, saw Marcus Washington sitting with Sophie, giving her his apple. Not just an apple, his lunch. She opened her desk drawer, took out Daniel's photograph again. Dan, who is this man? Her husband's smile offered no answers. Victoria's intercom buzzed. Miss Sterling? Marcus Washington is here as requested. Victoria set down the photograph, closed the drawer, became ice again. Send him in. Marcus Washington stood in the reception area outside Victoria Sterling's office. He had never been this high in the building. 47th floor, the carpet under his work boots probably cost more than his monthly rent. Other executives walked past. Their eyes slid over him like he was part of the furniture. Maintenance worker waiting for instructions. Nothing to see. The receptionist, blonde and cold as January, looked at him with barely concealed disgust. Ms. Sterling will see you now. Try not to track dirt on the carpet. Marcus looked down at his boots. They were spotless. He had cleaned them this morning. But the insult landed anyway. That was his purpose. Yes, ma'am. He walked to the double doors. Knocked once. Professional. Proper. Come in. Victoria Sterling's voice carried authority like other women carried perfume. Marcus entered. The office stole his breath despite his determination not to react. Windows showing the whole city. Art that belonged in museums. Space that could fit his entire apartment 3 times over. Victoria stood by the window. She did not turn immediately. Power move. Making him wait. Making him uncomfortable. Close the door, Mr. Washington. Marcus closed the door. Stood at attention without meaning to. Muscle memory from 8 years of military service. Ma'am, if this is about earlier with your daughter, I apologize if I overstepped. You saved Sophie's life last night. Marcus stopped, confused. Ma'am? Victoria turned. Her ice blue eyes pinned him. The restaurant. Sophie was choking. You performed the Heimlich maneuver, textbook execution. Where did you learn that? Basic first aid, ma'am. Don't insult my intelligence. Victoria walked to her desk, opened a folder, read from it. Corpsman Marcus Washington, 8th Marine Regiment, 2nd Battalion, combat medical specialist, 8 years active duty, 2 Bronze Stars, 1 Silver Star for valor under fire. Expert in trauma medicine, tactical rescue, and classified operations. She looked up. That's not basic first aid, Mr. Washington. Marcus said nothing. His face showed nothing. You served with my husband. Not a question, a statement. Marcus's eyes flickered to the photograph on her desk. Daniel Sterling in dress blues, younger, smiling, alive. I knew Captain Sterling, yes ma'am. How did he die? The question hung between them. Marcus's throat tightened. That's classified, ma'am. I'm his widow. I have security clearance. I signed a non-disclosure agreement. I can't discuss Operation Sentinel. Can't or won't. Ma'am, I'm sorry for your loss. The captain was a good man, one of the best, but I can't help you. Victoria's composure cracked. Just for a second. Pain flashed across her face before the ice returned. Sit down. I'd rather stand, ma'am. That wasn't a request. Sit. Marcus sat. The chair probably cost more than his car. Victoria sat across from him. No desk between them. Deliberate. Intimate. I need your help. I'm a maintenance worker, ma'am. You're a decorated Marine with skills that saved my daughter twice in 2 days. She leaned forward. Someone in this company is trying to destroy me. They're trying to steal technology my husband died protecting. Phoenix Protocol. Does that name mean anything to you? Marcus's expression did not change, but his silence was answer enough. I thought so. Victoria stood, paced. I don't know who I can trust, but yesterday I watched you share your lunch with a crying child. You thought no one was watching. You expected nothing in return. You did it because it was right. She stopped, looked at him directly. I'm offering you a job, head of personal security, triple your current salary, full medical benefits for you and Isaiah. Marcus's eyes widened slightly at the mention of his son's name. Why me? Because you knew Daniel. Because you have skills I need. Because you're the only person in this building who treats my daughter like a person instead of an asset. With respect, ma'am, I have a son to think about. This sounds dangerous. It is dangerous. But someone threatened Isaiah yesterday, didn't they? Marcus stiffened. Victoria pulled out a tablet, showed him video footage. Executive bathroom. Victor Ashford threatening him. Every word is recorded, every threat documented. She paused. He threatened your son. Help me take him down and I'll make sure Isaiah gets the best medical care money can buy. Full coverage, experimental treatments. Top asthma specialists in the country. Marcus looked at his hands. Scarred, stained, working hands. What would you need me to do? Investigate. Use those skills the Marines taught you. Find evidence of Ashford's plans. Protect Sophie and me. And Victoria's voice softened slightly. Help me find out what really happened to Daniel. Silence stretched. Marcus thought of Isaiah, the inhaler running low, the bills stacked like accusations, the choice between medicine and food. I have conditions. Name them. Isaiah comes first, always. Medical emergency, I leave immediately, no questions. Agreed. I work alone unless I choose partners. Agreed. And when this is over, I go back to maintenance. No attention, no recognition. I just want to provide for my son. Victoria studied him. This man who saved lives and expected nothing. This invisible warrior who had walked away from his own heroism. One more thing. This stays confidential. As far as anyone knows, you're still maintenance. Can you do that? Marcus almost smiled. I'm very good at being invisible, ma'am. Victoria extended her hand. Marcus stood, shook it. Her grip was firm, equal. Then we have a deal, Mr. Washington. As Marcus turned to leave, Victoria called after him. Marcus? He turned back. Daniel talked about you. Not by name, but he mentioned his corpsman, said you were the best medic he ever served with, said you saved his life 3 times. Marcus's throat tightened. He was a good man, ma'am. He was, and he trusted you. She met his eyes. That's why I'm trusting you now. But what Marcus Washington didn't know was that Victor Ashford had been watching. Cameras hidden in places even security didn't check. Listening devices that recorded everything. And the game Marcus had just entered, it had rules he couldn't imagine, stakes higher than he understood, and an enemy who had spent 6 years planning every move. Victoria Sterling thought she was hiring protection. She had just signed both their death warrants. Marcus Washington's new office was a storage closet on the 43rd floor. 8 feet by 10 feet, no window, one desk that wobbled, one chair that squeaked, one computer that took 5 minutes to boot up. It was perfect. Nobody noticed janitors. Nobody questioned maintenance workers accessing secure areas. And a storage closet meant privacy that corner offices could never provide. Victoria had provided him with access codes, security clearances that opened doors throughout Sterling Industries. She had also provided something more valuable: trust. Marcus sat at the wobbling desk, opened the encrypted folders Victoria had sent to his new email address. Inside were 6 years of questions that had kept a widow awake at night. Daniel Sterling died November 7th, 2019. Official cause: sudden cardiac arrest during morning run. No previous heart condition. No warning signs. Just a healthy 37-year-old man who collapsed and never got up. The autopsy report was 3 pages long. Marcus read every word twice. Cause of death: cardiac arrhythmia. Contributing factors: none. Toxicology: clean. No drugs, no alcohol, no poisons that standard tests could detect. The funeral had been closed casket, military honors. 21-gun salute, flag folded into a triangle and presented to Victoria while Sophie cried into her grandmother's shoulder. 3 days later, Sterling Industries stock dropped 42%. Investors panicked. The board called emergency meetings. Competitors circled like sharks. Within a month, Victor Ashford had consolidated power, moved allies into key positions, quietly assumed control of projects Daniel had protected, including Phoenix Protocol. Marcus pulled up the second file. This one was thinner, more redacted, but what remained painted a picture. Phoenix Protocol, quantum encryption technology, developed by Daniel Sterling over 8 years. If completed, it would revolutionize data security worldwide. Governments would pay billions. Corporations would kill for it. Someone had. Marcus leaned back in the squeaky chair. His combat medic training kicked in. Analyze symptoms, identify patterns, find the disease. Symptom 1, healthy man dies suddenly. No explanation. Symptom 2, his death benefits specific people financially. Symptom 3, classified technology becomes vulnerable immediately after. Diagnosis: murder made to look like natural causes. His phone buzzed. Text from Victoria. Tech team meeting in 10 minutes. Conference room B. Dermaya Patel will be there. She worked on Phoenix with Daniel. Trust her. Marcus stood, straightened his maintenance uniform, picked up a clipboard. The best disguise was always hiding in plain sight. Conference room B held 12 people when Marcus entered. Engineers, programmers, the technical team that kept Sterling Industries running. They barely glanced at him. Maintenance worker checking air vents. Nothing unusual. Marcus positioned himself near the back. Clipboard ready, eyes recording everything. The team discussed server upgrades and bandwidth allocation. Technical jargon that would bore most people into comas. But Marcus listened, not to the words. To the spaces between words. To who looked at whom. To tension invisible to anyone not trained to see it. Then Dr. Maya Patel stood to present. She was 34, Indian American, brilliant in the way that made other smart people feel stupid. PhD from MIT at 25, lead encryption engineer at Sterling Industries since 2016. She had worked directly with Daniel Sterling on Phoenix Protocol. The quantum encryption array needs recalibration. Her voice carried the precision of someone who measured twice and cut once. We're seeing degradation in the tertiary protocols. Nothing critical yet, but concerning. How concerning? The question came from across the table. Marcus recognized the voice before he saw the face. Victor Ashford, sitting at the head of the table like a king at court. Concerning enough that I'm recommending a full security audit. Dr. Patel's eyes met Ashford's. Neither blinked. That seems excessive, Maya. These fluctuations are normal. With respect, sir, they're not. Someone has been accessing restricted files, specifically files related to Phoenix Protocol architecture. The room went quiet. Ashford's smile never wavered, but something cold flickered behind his eyes. You're suggesting a security breach? I'm stating a fact. Unauthorized access, multiple times over the past 3 months, always during off hours, always covering their tracks, but not perfectly. Do you have proof? I have logs. I have timestamps. I have evidence that someone with high-level clearance has been systematically downloading classified data. Ashford stood, buttoned his suit jacket. The gesture looked casual. It was not. Then I suggest you bring this evidence to me privately, to Patel. No need to alarm everyone with unsubstantiated accusations. They're not unsubstantiated. Nevertheless, my office, after this meeting. It was not a request. Dr. Patel's jaw tightened, but she nodded. The meeting continued. Marcus watched. Ashford was good. He had pivoted from defensive to authoritative in seconds. Made Dr. Patel's concerns sound like paranoia. Made himself sound reasonable. But Marcus had seen the look. That cold flicker. Recognition of a threat. Dr. Maya Patel had just painted a target on her own back. Marcus followed Dr. Patel after the meeting ended. Not obviously. Maintenance worker going about his business. But he tracked her through the building until she reached her office on the 37th floor. He knocked. Professional. Official. Maintenance, need to check your air quality sensors. Patel opened the door, looked at him with the assessment of someone trained to notice details. I didn't request maintenance. Building-wide inspection, ma'am, new EPA regulations. She stepped aside. Let him enter. Her office was smaller than Victoria's, but more personal. Photographs of family, degrees framed on walls, whiteboards covered in equations that looked like beautiful chaos. Marcus closed the door, locked it. I'm not really here about air quality. Dr. Patel's hand moved toward her phone. Marcus raised both hands, showing he was not a threat. Victoria Sterling sent me. My name is Marcus Washington. Recognition flashed across her face. The corpsman. Daniel mentioned you. Now it was Marcus's turn to be surprised. He talked about me? Not by name, but he told me about Operation Sentinel, about the medic who saved his life 3 times, about promises made in Desert Night. She studied him more carefully now. You're investigating Daniel's death, among other things. That presentation you just gave? Victor Ashford is going to try to silence you. I can handle Ashford. Can you? Marcus's voice carried weight from experience. Because from what I just saw, you accused a man of corporate espionage in a room full of witnesses. That makes you dangerous to him. And dangerous people have accidents. Dr. Patel sat at her desk. Her confidence wavered slightly. You think he'd actually hurt me? I think he threatened my 7-year-old son yesterday. I think Daniel Sterling died suddenly at 37 with no medical explanation. I think you're the only person in this building who knows enough about Phoenix to stop whatever Ashford is planning. He leaned forward. So, yes, I think you're in danger. Silence filled the office. Outside the windows, Manhattan glittered with indifferent beauty. What do you want from me? Information. Everything you know about Phoenix Protocol. Everything Daniel told you. Everything Ashford might want. Dr. Patel stood, walked to her whiteboard, stared at equations only she could understand. Daniel didn't just create encryption technology. He created something revolutionary. Quantum key distribution using entangled photons. Theoretically unbreakable. Worth billions to whoever controls it. She turned back to Marcus. But Daniel was paranoid. Brilliant but paranoid. He didn't trust anyone completely. Not even Victoria. What did he do? He compartmentalized, broke the encryption into 5 separate key fragments. Each fragment hidden in a different location. Without all 5, the technology is useless. Just pretty code that does nothing. Marcus felt pieces clicking into place. So even if Ashford steals the main system, it won't work without the fragments. Exactly. Does Ashford know this? I don't know, maybe. Daniel kept the fragment location secret. He told me there was a fail-safe, a dead man's switch built into the architecture. If someone tries to force extraction without proper authentication, the entire system destroys itself. Authentication? Biometric, DNA-based. Daniel's DNA specifically. And after his death, Victoria's. Dr. Patel nodded. And Sophie's, as backup. Daniel wanted to make sure his family controlled Phoenix, that it could never be stolen or sold. Marcus thought about Sophie, 8 years old, target for anyone who wanted to control billions in technology. Where are the fragments? I don't know all of them. Daniel compartmentalized that too, but I know he embedded clues, digital breadcrumbs. He said if anything happened to him, the right person would figure it out. The right person? Someone who knew him, someone he trusted, someone who understood how he thought. She looked at Marcus meaningfully. Someone like you. Before Marcus could respond, Dr. Patel's computer chimed. Email notification. She glanced at the screen. Her face went pale. What is it? She turned the monitor toward him. Email from Victor Ashford. Dr. Patel, effective immediately, your access to Phoenix protocol files has been suspended pending security review. Please report to my office at 5 p.m. today to discuss your continued employment at Sterling Industries. This is not optional. The threat was clear. Comply or be destroyed. Marcus pulled out his phone, texted Victoria. Ashford moving against Patel. Need immediate protection. The response came in seconds. Already arranged. Stay with her until security arrives. Marcus looked at Dr. Patel. You're not going to that meeting alone. I don't need protection. Yes, you do, and I'm not asking. They waited in Dr. Patel's office. Marcus positioned himself by the door. Old habits. Control the entry point. Watch the approaches. Dr. Patel worked at her computer. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Then she stopped, turned to Marcus. I need to show you something. Daniel left it, for me, or for whoever came looking. She pulled up a video file. Date stamp, November 6, 2019. The day before Daniel died. Daniel Sterling appeared on screen. He looked tired, worried, but determined. Daniel, on video. If you're watching this, I'm either dead or disappeared. Either way, something went wrong. Victoria's husband, Marcus's captain, speaking from beyond the grave. Daniel, Phoenix Protocol is more than technology. It's insurance against tyranny, against governments that spy on citizens, against corporations that sell privacy to the highest bidder. I built it to protect people, good people, people who deserve to live without surveillance. He paused, looked directly into the camera. Daniel, but powerful people want it for the opposite reason. They want to control it, weaponize it, use it to enslave rather than liberate. Another pause. Daniel, I've hidden the encryption fragments. 5 locations, 5 keys. The dead man's switch is active. Anyone tries to steal Phoenix, the whole thing burns. But if you're watching this, you're probably trying to stop them. So here's what you need to know. He leaned closer to the camera. Daniel, Fragment 1 is with someone I trust more than anyone. Someone who saved my life. Someone who understands sacrifice. Check the compass. Marcus's breath caught. The compass. Daniel had given him a compass. Years ago, Afghanistan, old brass, worn smooth. Inscription inside that Marcus had never understood. Daniel, continuing. Fragment 2 is with Maya. She knows where. Fragment 3 is in the foundation. Literally, Fragment 4 requires blood. Mine or Victoria's or Sophie's. Fragment 5. Daniel's expression hardened. Daniel. Fragment 5 is with the only other person who survived Sentinel. The only one who knows what really happened. If you need it, he'll find you. The video ended. Marcus and Dr. Patel stared at the black screen. The compass. Marcus spoke softly, processing. Daniel gave me a compass, 2018, said it was a good luck charm, asked me to keep it safe. Do you still have it? At home, in a box with my military gear. Dr. Patel stood, Then we need to get it, now. What about Ashford's meeting? Let him wait. This is more important. Marcus's phone buzzed. Victoria. Security team is outside Patel's office, but Marcus, we have a problem. Building cameras just went offline. All of them. Maintenance claims it's a system failure, but I don't believe in coincidences. Marcus moved to the door, looked through the small window. Hallway empty. Too empty. We need to leave. Now. What's wrong? Ashford isn't waiting for 5 o'clock. He's moving now. They took the service stairs, 40 floors down. Marcus led. Dr. Patel followed. Both moving quickly but not running. Running attracted attention. 23rd floor. Marcus stopped, held up his hand. Voices below, coming up. Back up, quietly. They retreated to the 24th floor. Marcus tried the door. Locked. Security badge didn't work. System override. They've locked us in. Dr. Patel's voice stayed calm, but her hands shook. Marcus pulled out his phone, called Victoria. We're trapped. Stairwell. Someone overrode security. I see it. Give me 30 seconds. Marcus heard footsteps, coming from both directions now, above and below, converging. We don't have 30 seconds. The door beside them clicked. Unlocked. Marcus grabbed Dr. Patel's arm, pulled her through, into darkness. Storage room, boxes, shelves, equipment. Marcus locked the door behind them, moved deeper into shadows. Footsteps in the stairwell. Voices. They're not here. Check every floor, every room, find them. Marcus recognized one voice. Victor Ashford, not delegating. Hunting personally. They waited, breathing quietly. Minutes stretched. The footsteps faded. Marcus's phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Service elevator, end of hall, press button, sequence 4737. Brings you to parking garage, black SUV waiting. License plate, Sentinel. Who is this? Someone who owes Daniel Sterling a debt. Move now. Marcus showed Dr. Patel the text. Could be a trap. Could be our only option. They moved, stayed low. Used the darkness. Marcus's combat training guided them. Check corners, listen for movement. Trust nothing. The service elevator stood exactly where the text promised. Marcus pressed the code. 4737. November 7th, 2019. The day Daniel died. The elevator doors opened. Empty. They entered. Descended. Parking garage. Level B2. Darkest level. Deepest underground. The black SUV sat alone. Engine running. Driver's door open. A man stood beside him at 62 years old. Black, military posture. Eyes that had seen combat and never forgot. He wore a leather jacket. No insignia. But Marcus recognized the bearing. Officer, high rank, someone accustomed to command. The man smiled, sad and knowing. Hello, Marcus. Been a long time. Marcus stared, memory slammed into him. Afghanistan, Operation Sentinel. Their commanding officer. Colonel Cross. Not Colonel anymore, just Benjamin Cross. Retired, disgraced, disappeared. Benjamin Cross. The man who led Operation Sentinel. The man who filed the after-action report that sealed everything under classification. The man who knew what really happened. Dr. Patel looked between them. You two know each other? He was our CO, Daniel's and mine. Marcus's voice carried confusion and suspicion in equal measure. You disappeared right after Sentinel. They said you retired. They say lots of things, most are lies. Cross gestured to the SUV. Get in. Ashford's security will find you in about 90 seconds. We can talk while we drive. Why should we trust you? Because Daniel did. Because he gave me Fragment of 5. And because I've spent 6 years waiting for someone to finally ask the right questions. Marcus made a decision based on instinct honed by combat. Sometimes you trusted, sometimes you died. But standing still guaranteed death. Get in. Dr. Patel hesitated. Marcus nodded. She climbed into the back seat. Marcus took the front passenger side. Colonel Cross drove. They exited the parking garage seconds before security vehicles converged on B2. Cross drove through Manhattan traffic with the confidence of someone who had maneuvered through worse. He took side streets, doubled back, made sure they were not followed. Where are we going? Safe house, Brooklyn. Not far from your apartment, actually. Marcus tensed. You know where I live? I've been watching you for 6 years, Marcus, making sure you stayed alive, making sure Ashford didn't connect you to Sentinel. Why? Cross glanced at him, then back at the road. Because you're the key. Daniel knew it. I knew it. You were supposed to figure this out eventually. We just hoped it would happen before Ashford got too close. Dr. Patel leaned forward from the back seat. You said you have Fragment 5. What about the others? Fragment 2 is with you, Daniel told me. He embedded it in the Phoenix source code, hidden in plain sight. Only someone who really understands the architecture would find it. Dr. Patel's eyes widened. The anomaly, the redundant subroutine I found last month. I thought it was vestigial code. It's Fragment 2, extracted carefully. It's booby-trapped. What about the other fragments? Cross took a deep breath. Fragment 1 is in the compass, the one Daniel gave Marcus. Micro storage embedded in the casing. Fragment 3 is in the company foundation stone, the cornerstone laid when Sterling Industries was built. Daniel's father put it there. Fragment 4 requires biometric authentication, Victoria or Sophie's DNA. He paused. Fragment 5 is with me, has been since Operation Sentinel. Marcus turned in his seat, looked at Cross directly. What happened in Sentinel? Real story, not the sanitized version. Cross pulled into an alley, parked, killed the engine, turned to face them both. Operation Sentinel wasn't what you thought. The primary objective wasn't extraction. It was verification. Verification of what? That Phoenix protocol had been compromised. That foreign intelligence had obtained partial specifications. That Daniel's technology was going to be stolen and weaponized. Marcus's stomach dropped. We were bait. You were verification. Daniel knew someone inside Sterling Industries was selling secrets. He volunteered for Sentinel to draw them out, to make them show their hand. By risking his life, by sacrificing it, the words landed like bullets. Daniel knew Sentinel was a suicide mission. He knew the enemy would be waiting. But he needed proof, needed to identify the mole. So he walked into the trap deliberately. Dr. Patel's voice shook. Victor Ashford. Cross nodded. Daniel discovered Ashford was selling Phoenix specifications to a Chinese intelligence front. Millions of dollars over 2 years. Ashford thought he was careful, but Daniel was smarter. So Daniel died to expose him? Daniel died to protect Phoenix. He activated the dead man's switch before Sentinel, fragmented the encryption, scattered the pieces, made it impossible for Ashford to complete the sale. Cross's eyes went distant, remembering. Ashford realized what Daniel had done, couldn't let him come back and testify. So he made sure Daniel's death looked like natural causes. Heart attack. No evidence. No investigation. Marcus's fists clenched. You knew this for 6 years. Why didn't you come forward? Who would believe me? Disgraced officer with no proof? Ashford covered his tracks perfectly. The only evidence died with Daniel. Then why now? Because Victoria hired you. Because she finally started asking questions. Because Ashford is getting desperate. He knows the fragments exist. He knows he needs them to complete Phoenix. And he's willing to kill anyone who stands in his way. Cross handed Marcus a small box. Fragment 5. Keep it safe. When you have all 5, you can activate Phoenix legitimately. Or you can destroy it permanently. Either way, it's out of Ashford's reach. Marcus opened the box. Inside was a thumb drive. Innocuous. Worth billions. What do we do now? Now you get the compass. Dr. Patel extracts Fragment 2. Victoria provides Fragment 4 with her biometric signature. Fragment 3 requires actual excavation. The foundation stone. And then? Then we finish what Daniel started. We expose Ashford. We protect Phoenix. We make sure Daniel Sterling's death meant something. Marcus looked at the thumb drive, then at Cross. Why give this to me? You could have given it to Victoria years ago. Because Daniel's last words were about you. Cross's voice roughened with emotion. He said, tell Marcus I'm sorry. Tell him the compass has what he needs. Tell him to protect my girls. Those were his dying words, Marcus. Not about Phoenix, not about the mission, about his family, about you. The SUV felt too small, the air too thick. Marcus's phone buzzed. Victoria, are you safe? For now, with Colonel Cross, he has Fragment 5. Cross? Benjamin Cross? He's alive? Very much so, and we have work to do. They drove to Marcus's apartment. The sun had set. Brooklyn streets glowed with streetlights and bodega signs, normal people living normal lives, unaware that fortunes and lives balanced on decisions made in shadows. Marcus's building looked empty. Too empty. Stay here. He exited the SUV, approached the entrance carefully, checked sight lines, watched windows. His combat instinct screamed warning. The front door was unlocked. It should have been locked. Marcus climbed the stairs. Second floor, his apartment at the end of the hall, door closed, but light visible underneath. He had not left lights on. Marcus pulled out his phone, called Mrs. Lewis next door. Mrs. Lewis, it's Marcus. Is Isaiah with you? Yes, dear. He came over after school like always. We're making cookies. Relief flooded through him. Keep him there. Lock your door. Don't open it for anyone but me. Marcus, what's wrong? Just do it. Please. He hung up, approached his apartment door, tried the handle, unlocked. Marcus pushed the door open, stayed to the side, clear the fatal funnel. His apartment had been destroyed, furniture overturned, drawers emptied, cushions slashed. Someone had searched with brutal efficiency, looking for something specific. The compass. Marcus moved through the wreckage, to his bedroom, the closet where he kept his military gear. The box was open, contents scattered. Medals, ribbons, photographs, letters from Alicia. The compass was gone. Looking for this? Marcus spun. Victor Ashford stood in the doorway. He held the brass compass. Behind him, 3 men in suits. Private security, armed. I have to admit, Marcus, you've been impressively resourceful. Former maintenance worker investigating corporate espionage. It's almost admirable. Ashford examined the compass. Daniel was clever, hiding fragments in sentimental objects. This compass, a wedding ring, a child's locket, very touching. That doesn't belong to you. Legally, everything related to Phoenix belongs to Sterling Industries. I'm simply retrieving company property by breaking into my home. You broke into company databases. You assaulted security personnel. You're terminated, Mr. Washington. And frankly, you're lucky I'm only taking the compass. Ashford stepped closer, dropped his reasonable mask, let Marcus see the monster underneath. Here's what happens next. You disappear, leave New York, take your son, forget everything you learned. If you do that, Isaiah gets to grow up. If you don't, he left the threat hanging. Marcus's hand stayed relaxed, visible, non-threatening, but his mind calculated. 3 armed men, 4 total, enclosed space. Odds poor, but not impossible. What did Daniel Sterling ever do to you? He refused to sell. Phoenix could have made us billions, legitimate billions, but Daniel wanted to give it away. Free encryption for everyone. Idealistic fool. So you killed him. I removed an obstacle. Business decision. Nothing personal. Marcus's voice went flat. Combat voice. The voice that preceded violence. It's personal to me. He moved. Years of Marine Corps training compressed into 3 seconds. Marcus grabbed the closest guard's weapon, used the man's body as a shield, swept the second guard's legs, struck the third in the throat. Ashford stumbled backward, dropped the compass. It clattered across the floor. Marcus and Ashford both dove for it. Marcus got there first, grabbed it, rolled, came up in fighting stance. Ashford pulled a gun from his jacket, pointed it at Marcus. Give it back. No, I will shoot you. Then shoot, but you won't get the compass. And without it, Phoenix stays locked. Forever. Standoff. 2 men, 1 weapon, 1 compass worth billions. The apartment door crashed open. Colonel Cross and Dr. Patel. Cross held a military sidearm, trained on Ashford. Drop the weapon, Victor. It's over. Ashford's gun wavered between Marcus and Cross. You have no authority here. You're a disgraced officer, a conspiracy theorist. I have evidence. Daniel's video, financial records, proof you sold classified technology, proof you murdered him, proof that will never see daylight. I own judges, senators, federal prosecutors. But you don't own Victoria Sterling. Everyone turned. Victoria stood in the hallway. Behind her, NYPD officers. Behind them, federal agents. Victor Ashford, you're under arrest for corporate espionage, theft of classified technology, and murder. Ashford's face went through emotions too fast to track. Rage, fear, calculation. He looked at his guards, at the police, at Victoria. Then he smiled, cold, knowing. You think you've won, you have no idea what's coming. He dropped his gun, raised his hands. But we'll see each other again, in court, where my lawyers will destroy everything you think you know. The federal agents moved in, handcuffs clicked, Miranda rights recited. Victoria walked past Ashford without looking at him, walked to Marcus. Are you hurt? I'm fine, Isaiah. Safe. Mrs. Lewis has him. She's very protective. Marcus held up the compass. Victoria took it gently, reverently, her husband's compass, her husband's final gift. Fragment 1. Fragment 1, Marcus confirmed. Dr. Patel appeared beside them. I can extract Fragment 2 tonight. Colonel Cross has Fragment 5. That's 3. Fragment 4 requires my DNA. We can do that at Sterling Industries lab tomorrow. Victoria looked at the three of them, the team Daniel had assembled without knowing it, his corpsman, his engineer, his commanding officer, and his wife. Fragment 3? The foundation stone. We'll need excavation equipment, legal permits. I can have crews there by dawn. Marcus looked at Victoria, at the determination in her ice blue eyes. The same determination that made her a CEO at 33. The same determination that had kept her searching for truth for 6 years. This is dangerous. Ashford wasn't working alone. He has allies, people with money and power. I know. They'll come after you, after Sophie, after all of us. I know that too. Victoria's voice did not waver. But Daniel died protecting Phoenix, died protecting people's right to privacy and freedom. I'm not letting his death be meaningless. She looked at each of them. We finish this, together. Narrator. But 3 floors below, in the back of a police transport vehicle, Victor Ashford made a phone call. One call before they took his phone, one number memorized for exactly this emergency. The voice that answered spoke with an accent Ashford could not place. It's compromised. They have 3 fragments, maybe 4 within 24 hours. Silence on the line. Then, activate Protocol Omega, eliminate Sterling, eliminate the witnesses, recover the fragments, by any means necessary. The line went dead. Ashford smiled in the darkness of the transport. The game was not over. It was just beginning. Dawn broke over Manhattan like a promise, the kind of promise that might be kept or broken depending on who held the power. Marcus Washington had not slept. Neither had Victoria Sterling. They stood in the basement of Sterling Industries headquarters. Excavation equipment surrounded them. Legal permits had been fast-tracked. What money and determination could not buy, federal warrants provided. The foundation stone waited beneath 3 feet of concrete in 60 years of corporate history. Daughter Maya Patel monitored her laptop. She had spent the night extracting Fragment 2 from Phoenix Protocol source code. The process required surgical precision. One wrong command and the dead man's switch would activate. Everything would burn. She succeeded at 4:37 a.m. Fragment 2 now resided on an encrypted drive hanging around her neck. Colonel Benjamin Cross stood guard at the basement entrance. He held a weapon openly now. No more hiding. Federal protection meant he could operate in daylight again. The drill bit into concrete. Dust filled the air. Workers in hard hats operated machinery that sounded like thunder in the enclosed space. Victoria's phone buzzed constantly. Board members demanding explanations. Lawyers advising caution. Media outlets smelling blood in the water. She ignored them all. How deep? Her voice cut through the noise. The foreman checked his measurements. Another 18 inches, Miss Sterling. Then we hit the original foundation. How long? 20 minutes, maybe 30. Victoria nodded, turned to Marcus. He stood slightly behind her, always watching, always alert. Even here, surrounded by their own people, he trusted nothing. Isaiah? Safe, with Mrs. Lewis still. Sophie? With my mother, upstate, security detail. Nobody gets close. Good. But Marcus's instincts screamed otherwise. Something felt wrong, the air tasted wrong, the timing felt too convenient. His phone buzzed, unknown number. Text message. They're coming for the children. Both of them. Protocol Omega means scorched earth. Ashford's final order before arrest. Check the news. Marcus showed Victoria. She pulled up her phone. News alerts flooding in. Breaking. Federal prisoner Victor Ashford hospitalized after apparent heart attack during transport. Breaking. Ashford's condition critical. Sources say suspicious circumstances. Breaking. Federal investigation into possible poisoning. Victoria's face went pale. He's faking, or someone's helping him. Or he's actually dying, and his people are tying up loose ends. Marcus's combat training kicked into overdrive. If Ashford was compromised, if Protocol Omega was active, then everyone connected to Phoenix became a target. We need to move the children. Now. They're in secure locations. Secure isn't enough. They need to be with us. Victoria understood. She dialed her mother. Mom, bring Sophie here to Sterling Industries. Use the secure transport. Armed escort. Leave now. Her mother's voice carried through the speaker. Confused, concerned. Victoria, what's happening? Just do it, please. I'll explain when you get here. She hung up, looked at Marcus. Mrs. Lewis? Marcus was already calling. The phone rang and rang and rang, no answer. His blood turned to ice water. She always answers. Always. He called again. Nothing. We need to go. Now. Marcus ran for the stairs. Victoria followed. Colonel Cross close behind. Maya, stay here. Finish the excavation. Get fragment 3. Dr. Patel nodded, alone in the basement with workers and machinery and the weight of everything riding on success. Marcus drove like the Marine he used to be. Fast, precise, breaking every traffic law and not caring. Victoria sat beside him, silent, gripping the door handle, trusting him completely. Colonel Cross followed in the SUV. Backup, just in case. Brooklyn streets blurred past. Marcus's mind calculated scenarios. Best case, Mrs. Lewis did not hear her phone. Worst case, Protocol Omega was already active. He skidded to a stop outside his building. The front door hung open. Wrong, always locked. Stay in the car. Like hell. Victoria exited before Marcus could stop her. He did not waste time arguing. They moved together. Up the stairs, second floor. Mrs. Lewis's apartment door was closed. Marcus knocked. Mrs. Lewis, it's Marcus. Open up. Silence. He tried the handle. Locked from inside. Good sign or bad sign? Impossible to know. Mrs. Lewis, I'm coming in. Marcus kicked the door. Once, twice. The frame splintered. The door crashed open. Mrs. Lewis sat in her armchair. Unharmed. Isaiah beside her, both staring at the television. Marcus's relief lasted exactly 2 seconds. Then he saw what they were watching. Sophie Sterling, on the news. Breaking alert. Video footage. A van pulling up outside Victoria's mother's house upstate. Men in masks, gunfire, security personnel down. Sophie dragged into the van, screaming for her mother. The timestamp, 14 minutes ago. Victoria made a sound like a wounded animal. Not quite a scream, not quite a sob, pure mother's anguish. Marcus caught her before she collapsed, held her upright, let her break for 3 seconds. Then his voice cut through her panic. Victoria, look at me. She did, eyes wild, tears streaming. We will get her back, I promise you. On my life, on everything I am, we will get Sophie back. How? They could be anywhere, They won't hurt her. She's valuable. They need her DNA for fragment 4, which means they need her alive and cooperative. Victoria's CEO brain engaged, fighting through mother's terror. The biometric scanner, they need her to authenticate willingly. Stress hormones trigger the lockout. Exactly. So they'll try to manipulate her, make her trust them, make her want to help. How much time do we have? Until they set up the scanner equipment, transport Sophie somewhere secure, convince her to cooperate. 3 hours, maybe 4. Marcus turned to Mrs. Lewis. The elderly woman held Isaiah tight. The boy looked confused, scared. Mrs. Lewis, thank you for protecting him, but I need to take Isaiah now. Where are you going? To get Sophie back. Isaiah stood, small, 7 years old, but brave in the way children are when their fathers need them to be. Dad, is Sophie in trouble? Yes, buddy. The girl from your work? The one with the bunny? That's right. Isaiah processed this with the seriousness of someone older. Then we have to help her. Captain Flopsy would be brave. Marcus knelt, eye level with his son. I need you to be brave too. Stay with Mrs. Lewis. Keep her safe. Can you do that? Isaiah wanted to argue. Marcus saw it in his eyes, but the boy nodded instead. Come back, Dad. Always. Marcus stood, looked at Victoria, at Colonel Cross in the doorway. We need to find them, Fedin. Victoria's phone buzzed, unknown number. She answered on speaker, a voice, distorted, electronic. Miss Sterling, we have your daughter, unharmed, for now. If you hurt her, we won't. If you cooperate, bring Fragment 4 authentication to the following address. You personally, provide your biometric signature. Transfer Phoenix Protocol control to us. Sophie goes free. How do I know she's alive? Mommy? Sophie's voice, small, scared, but alive. Mommy, I'm okay. They said if I help them with the science thing, I can come home. Should I help them? Victoria's voice broke. Baby, don't help them. Don't do anything they say. Mommy's coming, I promise. That's enough, the distorted voice returned. You have 4 hours. The address is texting to your phone now. Come alone. Any police, any federal agents, Sophie dies. Bring the authentication. We complete the transfer. Everyone goes home happy. The line went dead. Victoria stared at her phone. The address appeared. Industrial district. Warehouse. Perfect place for an ambush. It's a trap. Marcus stated the obvious. I know, but I have to go. She's my daughter. We'll go together. They said alone. They're lying. They'll kill you both as soon as they have what they need. Colonel Cross stepped forward. He's right, but we can use their trap against them. How, Toy? Cross smiled, hard, military, by giving them exactly what they expect, and nothing they are prepared for. The warehouse stood abandoned. At least it appeared abandoned. Broken windows, rust, graffiti, the kind of building police avoided and criminals loved. Victoria's car pulled up to the front entrance. Alone, as instructed, she sat behind the wheel, hands visible, compliant. Marcus watched from 3 blocks away, rooftop position, rifle borrowed from Colonel Cross's apparently bottomless arsenal. He could see the warehouse entrance through the scope, could see Victoria's car, could see nothing else, which meant professionals. In position. Marcus spoke into the radio, military grade, encrypted. Copy, Colonel Cross's voice. He was somewhere on the south side, covering that approach. Copy, Dr. Maya Patel. She had insisted on coming, had argued that Fragment 4 required her technical expertise. Now she waited in a van 2 streets over. Medical supplies, backup communications, emergency extraction. Victoria's phone buzzed. Text message. Exit the vehicle. Enter the warehouse, alone. She obeyed. Marcus tracked her through the scope, watching for threats, seeing none, which meant they were very good or very confident. Victoria disappeared into the warehouse. Marcus waited 10 seconds, then moved. Down the fire escape, across the alley, to the warehouse north wall, a service entrance Cross had identified on satellite imagery. Inside, darkness, dust, machinery from decades past. Marcus moved like smoke, silent, invisible, the way he had learned in 100 combat operations. Voices ahead. He froze, listened. Miss Sterling, thank you for being reasonable. A man's voice, cultured, educated. Not the distorted electronic voice from the phone. Someone in charge. Where's my daughter? Safe. But first, business. You brought the authentication? I need to see Sophie now. Of course. Footsteps, then Sophie's voice. Mommy! Baby! Marcus heard them embrace, heard Victoria's sob of relief, but something felt wrong. Sophie sounded calm, not traumatized, not scared enough for someone who had been kidnapped. Sophie, are you hurt? No, Mommy. The nice man said if I helped with Daddy's science project, we could finish what Daddy started. He said Daddy would be proud. Ice filled Marcus's veins. They had not threatened Sophie. They had manipulated her, made her think she was helping her father's legacy. Sophie, this man is lying. Daddy wouldn't want this. Now, Miss Sterling, let's not confuse the child. The cultured voice again. You built Phoenix to protect people, to give them privacy, security, freedom from surveillance. That's exactly what we're doing. The Chinese government wants to protect its citizens. We're simply facilitating that protection. You're facilitating tyranny. Perspective. Now, the authentication. Marcus moved closer, found a vantage point. Second floor catwalk, rusted but stable. He could see the scene below. Victoria stood in a circle of portable lights. Sophie beside her. The man with the cultured voice wore an expensive suit. 3 bodyguards surrounded them. Professional, alert, armed, and in the corner a portable biometric scanner. Sophisticated, expensive, connected to a laptop. Place your hand on the scanner, provide the DNA sample, authenticate fragment 4 transfer, then you and Sophie leave. Simple. And if I refuse? The man's smile never reached his eyes. Then Sophie places her hand on the scanner instead. Children are so eager to help, especially when they think they're honoring their father's memory. Victoria's hands clenched, trapped. Either authenticate herself or watch them manipulate her daughter into doing it. Don't hurt her. No one needs to be hurt, just cooperation. Marcus made his decision. He had 1 shot, maybe 2, 3 bodyguards, the man in the suit, Sophie and Victoria in the middle. Unacceptable risk. Unless. He keyed the radio. Cross, I need a distraction, north wall, loud. Copy, 30 seconds. Marcus counted, watched, waited. 29, 28, 27. Victoria moved toward the scanner, stalling, buying time she did not know Marcus needed. 15, 14, 13. Her hand hovered over the biometric reader. 5, 4, 3. Victoria, wait. Sophie's voice, small but determined. I want to do it, for Daddy. 2, 1, the north wall exploded, not literally, but the flashbang grenade Colonel Cross threw through the broken window might as well have been a bomb. Blinding light, deafening sound, concussive force. Everyone hit the ground, disoriented, blind, deaf, except Marcus, who had closed his eyes 3 seconds before impact, who moved while the bodyguard stumbled, who dropped from the catwalk onto the first guard, used the man's body to cushion his landing, disarmed him in 1 motion. 2 shots, suppressed, both bodyguards down, not dead, leg shots. They would live to face trial. The man in the suit pulled a pistol, aimed at Victoria. Marcus put a round through his shoulder. The man dropped. Weapons skittered across concrete. 15 seconds from flashbang to silence. Victoria grabbed Sophie, shielded her daughter with her body. When she opened her eyes, Marcus stood over them. Weapon ready, scanning for threats. Clear. We're clear. Colonel Cross entered through the north wall, checked the downed guards, secured weapons. Nice work. Thanks, you too. Victoria stood, still holding Sophie. The girl looked at Marcus, recognition dawning. Sandwich man? Marcus smiled, gentle, non-threatening. Hey, Sophie, your mom called for backup. Like the Avengers? Something like that. Police sirens in the distance, growing closer. Dr. Patel's voice on the radio. Authorities inbound, ETA 2 minutes. I'm pulling around front. Marcus helped Victoria to her feet. Sophie clung to her mother, finally crying now, the shock wearing off. the fear catching up. Is it over? Victoria's voice shook. Almost. Marcus looked at the biometric scanner, at the laptop, at the equipment that could have given Phoenix Protocol to people who would weaponize freedom into oppression. We still need Fragment 4 and Fragment 3. Then we end this permanently. They returned to Sterling Industries. Police took custody of the wounded kidnappers. Federal agents swarmed the warehouse. Evidence collection would take days. But Marcus, Victoria, Sophie, and Colonel Cross had work to finish. Dr. Patel met them in the basement. The excavation was complete. The foundation stone sat exposed. 60 years of concrete cut away to reveal the original cornerstone. Sterling Industries, founded in 1965, built by Victoria's grandfather. And inside the stone, sealed in waterproof casing, Fragment 3. Dr. Patel extracted it carefully, added it to the collection. 3 fragments now. Almost there. Fragment 4? Victoria looked at Marcus, then at Sophie. The scanner at the warehouse, can we use it? Too dangerous. Ashford's people could have compromised it. Installed a back door. We need clean equipment. Dr. Patel pulled out a portable scanner from her bag. This is Sterling Industries property. Never left our control. I can authenticate here. She set up the scanner. Medical grade, DNA analysis plus biometric verification. The same technology Daniel Sterling had embedded into Phoenix Protocol 6 years ago. Victoria placed her hand on the reader, provided the sample. The scanner hummed, analyzed, verified. Authentication accepted. Fragment 4 unlocked. 4 unlocked. Patel's laptop chimed. Fragment 4 downloaded, secured, protected. 4 fragments, 1 remaining. Colonel Cross removed the thumb drive from his jacket. Fragment 5, the piece Daniel Sterling had given him before Operation Sentinel. The final insurance policy. This is it. Everything Daniel died to protect. He handed it to Victoria. She held all of the 5 fragments. The complete Phoenix Protocol. The power to protect privacy worldwide. Or the power to destroy it forever. What do we do now? Marcus knew the answer, had known since this began. We make a choice. Complete Phoenix and release it. Free encryption for everyone, the way Daniel intended. Or we activate the dead man's switch. Burn it all. Make sure no one can ever weaponize it. Victoria looked at Sophie, her daughter, Daniel's daughter, the legacy they had created together. What would Daddy do? Sophie's question carried weight beyond her 8 years. Victoria closed her eyes, remembered Daniel, his idealism, his belief that people deserve freedom. That privacy was not a privilege but a right. He would finish it. He would give people the tools to protect themselves. She opened her eyes, looked at Dr. Patel. Complete Phoenix Protocol, but add something. A permanent dead man's switch. If anyone tries to weaponize it, if any government tries to monopolize it, the whole system destroys itself and releases the source code publicly. Dr. Patel smiled. Daniel would love that. Mutual assured distribution. How long? To integrate all 5 fragments and compile the final protocol? 48 hours, maybe less. Then we have 48 hours to make sure no one stops us. Victor Ashford was not in a hospital. That much became clear when federal agents arrived to interview him about the kidnapping. The patient in the bed was a John Doe, homeless, paid to swap places during transport, drugged to appear critical. Simple misdirection. Ashford was gone. The news hit while Marcus stood guard outside Sterling Industries' server room. Dr. Patel worked inside, integrating fragments, building the complete Phoenix Protocol. Victoria sat beside Marcus, Sophie asleep on her lap. The girl had not left her mother's side since the warehouse. Neither had asked her to. He's coming for us, Victoria stated fact, not fear. Yes. Can we stop him? We already have. He just doesn't know it yet. Marcus's phone buzzed. Colonel Cross. Federal task force raiding Ashford's properties now. His office, his home, 3 apartments he owns through shell companies. They're finding everything. Financial records, communications, proof of espionage going back 8 years. He kept records? Arrogant men always do. They think they're untouchable. Marcus relayed the information to Victoria. She allowed herself a small smile. Daniel always said arrogance was Ashford's weakness. He needed to be the smartest person in the room, needed to document his cleverness. That cleverness is going to put him in prison for life. But Marcus's instincts still screamed a warning. Ashford was cornered, desperate, dangerous. 12 hours later, Dr. Patel emerged from the server room. She looked exhausted, triumphant. It's done. Phoenix Protocol is complete. All 5 fragments integrated. Dead man switch active, ready for deployment. How do we deploy? Open source release. Every major technology platform simultaneously. Linux, GitHub, academic journals. We flood the internet with it. Make it impossible to suppress. Victoria stood, careful not to wake Sophie. Do it. Are you sure once Phoenix is public, there's no taking it back? Governments will be furious. Intelligence agencies will come after us. This makes powerful enemies. Daniel made those enemies 6 years ago. He died for this. We finish what he started. Dr. Patel nodded, returned to the server room. Marcus followed. Watched as she typed commands. Uploaded files. Distributed Phoenix Protocol to 200 servers across 40 countries. 1 hour later, the internet exploded. News outlets scrambled to understand. Technology experts praised it. Government officials condemned it. Privacy advocates celebrated. And somewhere, Victor Ashford watched his carefully built empire collapse in real time. The press conference happened 3 days later. Sterling Industries headquarters. Every major news outlet, cameras, reporters, questions shouted over each other. Victoria stood at the podium, Sophie beside her, Marcus behind them. Visible, present, no longer invisible. 6 years ago, my husband Daniel Sterling died. The official report said heart attack, natural causes. I never believed it. Her voice carried across the crowded room, steady, strong. Daniel was murdered because he built something that threatened powerful people. Phoenix Protocol. Quantum encryption that gives ordinary people privacy, security, freedom from surveillance. She paused. Let that sink in. Victor Ashford, former CFO of this company, conspired with foreign intelligence to steal Phoenix, to sell it, to weaponize it. When Daniel discovered this, Ashford had him killed. Reporters erupted. Questions, accusations, demands for proof. Victoria raised her hand. Silence fell. We have proof, financial records, communications, video evidence, all provided to federal authorities, all available for public review on Sterling Industries' website as of this moment. Dr. Patel triggered the upload from backstage. Gigabytes of evidence. Everything. Victor Ashford is currently being hunted by every federal agency. He will be found. He will face justice. Victoria's voice hardened. But this isn't about revenge. This is about finishing what Daniel started. Phoenix Protocol is now public, free, available to anyone who wants privacy and security in an age of surveillance. She looked directly into the cameras. My husband believed people deserve freedom. He died for that belief. Today we honor him by giving everyone the tools he created. The questions erupted again, but Victoria was done. She stepped back, took Sophie's hand, walked away from the podium. Marcus followed, always watching, always protecting. Behind them, the world changed. Phoenix Protocol spread. Millions of downloads in the first hour, billions by the end of the day. Daniel Sterling's legacy was complete. Victor Ashford lasted 4 more days. Federal agents found him at a private airfield in New Jersey, attempting to board a plane to a country without extradition treaties. He had a new passport, new identity, $2 million in bearer bonds. None of it mattered. The arrest was quiet, professional, no drama, just handcuffs and Miranda rights in a very long list of federal charges. Marcus watched the news coverage from Victoria's office. She sat beside him, Sophie in the other room with a private tutor. Life slowly returning to normal. Do you feel satisfied? Victoria's question hung in the air. Marcus thought about it, about Daniel, about Operation Sentinel, about promises made and kept. I feel like I can breathe again, for the first time in 6 years. Me too. They sat in comfortable silence. Then Victoria spoke again. What will you do now? You can't go back to maintenance. Why not? Because you're not invisible anymore. The press knows who you are. Your face has been on every news channel. Temporary. People forget. Some people, not me, not Sophie. Victoria turned to face him directly. Stay. Work for Sterling Industries. Head of security, real position, real authority. I'm not qualified. You're the most qualified person I know. You protected my daughter, protected me, finished what Daniel started. She paused. And Sophie needs you. She asks about you every day, wants to know when you're coming back. Marcus's chest tightened. I have Isaiah to think about. Bring him. Sterling Industries has excellent schools nearby, full medical coverage, everything he needs. Victoria, I'm not asking as your employer. I'm asking as someone who trusts you, someone who wants you in our lives. The words carried weight beyond professional courtesy. Marcus looked at her, really looked. Saw not the Ice Queen CEO, not the untouchable widow, just Victoria, a woman who had lost her husband and found her way back to living, a woman who trusted him with the most precious thing she had. Let me think about it. Take your time. The offer stands. Marcus looked at her, really looked. Saw not the Ice Queen CEO, not the untouchable widow, just Victoria, a woman who had lost her husband and found her way back to living, a woman who trusted him with the most precious thing she had. I'd like that. Victoria's smile broke through like sunrise after storm. Yeah, me and Isaiah, if you'll have us. I was hoping you'd say that. She stood, extended her hand. Marcus took it, let her pull him up. They stood close, not quite touching, but the space between them felt charged with possibility. Sophie will be thrilled, Victoria said softly. Isaiah too. He asks about her every day. They're good for each other. So are we. The words hung between them. Acknowledgement, promise, beginning. Victoria squeezed his hand once, then released it. Professional distance maintained, but her eyes said everything her voice could not. Some promises took time to fully keep. Some families took time to fully form. They had time now. 1 year later, the wedding was small, private, just family and close friends. Isaiah as ring bearer, Sophie as flower girl, Colonel Cross giving Victoria away, Dr. Patel as maid of honor. They married in a garden, sunshine, simple vows. Nothing elaborate, just two people who had found each other in darkness and chosen light. Marcus wore his dress uniform, the first time in 7 years. The medals earned through sacrifice felt lighter now. The weight of guilt finally eased. Victoria wore white, simple, elegant, beautiful. When they kissed, the assembled guests cheered. Isaiah and Sophie loudest of all. The reception was held at the Sterling Industries Community Center, the building Daniel had designed, the place where he had dreamed of technology serving humanity instead of enslaving it. Phoenix Protocol continued spreading. Millions used it daily. Privacy advocates considered it the greatest gift of the 21st century. Authoritarian governments hated it, which meant it was working exactly as intended. Victor Ashford was serving 30 years in federal prison. No parole. His CEO conspirators followed. The network of corruption Daniel had died exposing was dismantled piece by piece. During the reception, Marcus stepped outside, needed air, needed a moment. Colonel Cross found him on the terrace. Both men looked at the city lights. You did good, Marcus. Daniel would be proud. I just kept a promise. That's all any of us can do. Keep our promises. Protect the people we love. They stood in companionable silence. Two warriors who had seen too much but kept fighting anyway. What's next for you, Colonel? Teaching. West Point wants me to lecture on ethics in combat. Figure I can do some good there. You've already done plenty. So have you. Cross clapped Marcus on the shoulder. But your work isn't done. You've got a family now, wife, daughter, son. That's the hardest mission there is. I know. Good luck. Cross walked back inside. Marcus stayed a moment longer, looking at the stars, thinking about Daniel, about promises kept and sacrifices honored. Then he returned to the reception, to Victoria, to Isaiah and Sophie, to the family they had built from broken pieces. Victoria saw him enter, smiled, extended her hand. He took it, let her pull him onto the dance floor. They swayed to music neither really heard, lost in each other, in the moment, in the future stretching ahead. Happy? Victoria asked. Yeah, you? More than I thought possible. She rested her head on his chest, felt his heartbeat, strong, steady, reliable. Thank you for not giving up on us. Never. Marcus held her close, watched over her shoulder as Isaiah taught Sophie some complicated handshake. Both children laughing, both safe, both loved. This was what Daniel had died for. Not technology, not encryption, not corporate secrets, family, love. The freedom to build a life worth protecting. Some promises were written in blood. Others were written in hope. Marcus Washington had kept both. And in the end, that was enough. The end. Narrator, final voiceover. They say heroes are made in moments of crisis. That courage is born from necessity. That love grows in the spaces loss creates. Marcus Washington was a hero long before he met Victoria Sterling, before he saved Sophie's life, before he finished what Daniel started. He was a hero every morning he woke up and chose to keep going. Every time he put his son first. Every moment he honored his fallen wife's memory by being the father she wanted Isaiah to have. But sometimes heroes get second chances. Sometimes keeping one promise leads to keeping another. Sometimes the family you build is just as real as the family you were born into. Marcus Washington kept his promise to Daniel Sterling, protected his family, finished his work, honored his sacrifice, and in return he found something he thought he had lost forever. Hope, love, home. That's not just a story, that's redemption.